Nestled between China and India lies Tibet, the roof of the world. Located on a plateau, it is separated from Nepal and India by the Himalayas and from China by the Kunlun Mountains. Executive Director of the New York-based Tibet House, Ganden Thurman, speaks about Tibet's unique situation.
Tibet had always been, under the protection of or in partnership with some other larger power. So they didn't have the need for a big police force. They usually had some other people's laws imposed on them. They didn't have the need for a big, strong central government because, again, there was another government around. So they just carried on with their administration through their religious institutions. And that worked well enough.
According to historical texts, the first documented close interaction between China and Tibet occurred in 640 AD. This was when the Tibetan King Songtsan Gampo married Princess Wencheng, niece of the Chinese Tang Dynasty Emperor Taizong. The marriage helped to bridge the two cultures and strengthen the bond between the two countries. Tibet became more intricately linked with China during the Yuan dynasty from 1271 to 1368, when the Mongol Empire conquered Tibet and later China.
Being conquered took away their old system of kings and nobility and this sort of thing. It changed their social order very dramatically, of course, as all conquests, all invasions do. The Mongols, for whatever reason, decided that Tibetan Buddhism would be their state religion. So the Tibetans essentially became the Vatican of the Mongol Empire.
The Mongols made lasting changes in the history of Tibet.
The additional adjustment made by the Mongols was essentially putting the religious people in charge of this territory. So they put the religious people in charge of the Tibetan area within the Mongol Empire. And for various reasons, the Tibetans kept up with that system more or less in the intervening time.
Tibet became known as one of the 13 provinces of the Mongolian-ruled China, and Tibetans gained a huge influence at the imperial court. When the Yuan dynasty collapsed, Tibet reasserted its independence. During this time, the title Dalai Lama was conferred on Tibetan spiritual leaders. Then China under the Ming dynasty centralized governance over Tibet, yet the region still enjoyed a large degree of autonomy. Later, China's Qing dynasty imposed a more rigid set of rules and regulations over Tibet. After the fall of the Qing dynasty in 1913, Tibet experienced a short period of independence, until 1950, when the Chinese Communist forces invaded the region. For over 6 decades, the Tibetan people suffered under the brutal policies of the Chinese Communist regime. Today, Tibetans in Tibet and overseas are campaigning for a free Tibet.
And Tibetans only want basic rights, basic human rights, religious freedom, and this is what Tibetans are grieving about. And they also want to be Tibetan in their own homeland. They want to celebrate our rituals, our culture, and our language. But China is not allowing this to happen.